And you're just going to have to work your way around and pulling it in and out. Hello, welcome to WayPoint Survival. Today we're going to put some color on the George tent and we're going to waterproof it. Stay tuned. So here we have, set up right here behind me, it's a late afternoon, and you can see the George tent. We've got it set up, and if you haven't seen the video where I set that up and show you what it looks like laid out on the ground, you make sure and check out that video, and I'll make sure and put a link to it not only here on the screen but also down below in the description box. But these tents, as they come from J. Hercules, and my good friend, if you want one, he'll be able to make one for you. Make sure and put his information down in the link below. And at some point, he's also going to give me, I think, a PDF file. A PDF file where you'll be able to kind of draw your own out, and then you'll have to scale it up. All the dimensions will be there, but in case you like to sew and you want to make your own tent. But that's still in process. We've not got that out yet, but it is on the way. So, we've got the George tent. Now, the problem with this is it is untreated canvas, and it's very white. Now, Horace Kephart and other people sometimes recommended using walnut stain or walnut juice from walnuts to stain the tent, to color it a brown color, to make it blend in a little bit better. Of course, you can always use it as it is, but I'm going to go ahead and do that. We'll get to that right now. And so black walnut makes an excellent stain. It's been used for many, many years, probably centuries. When they fall off the trees, you can find them all over the place. And what you do is you want to take these and you want to break the hulls apart. Now when you do this, make sure and wear some rubber or latex gloves unless you want to get your hands stained a dark brown. Now the interesting thing about this is that back in the day when men were spies and they would go among the Native American tribes and try to find out what was going on, and they wanted to pass for Native American, they would use this walnut stain and they would put it all over their face and skin and hands, and it would darken them, and it would stay that way for several days. It literally pretty much just has to wear off. So if you're using this stuff, be careful what you get it on, and especially your hands, any of your skin, it's going to really stain it. So what we have here is we have our very large cast iron pot with the metal tripod. We've got it over the fire pit here, and we've just got a bunch of these hulls. And this has been soaking for over a week. So there is a whole lot of this, just super dark black. There's some leaves in there and things that have dripped in there, but that's okay. And we don't really want this to boil. We want to steep it like a tea, and that's going to help a lot. And then I've got this very large ladle here. You can see this has holes in it, so we can scoop out everything when we get ready to stain it and to put the tent in there. All right, as you can see, I've got the George tent here behind me. As I said before, it's already set up. Now there's something you have to understand. We have to wet the tent down. If we put it in dry, I understand, if you have any experience with this, you'll know that it comes out like it's tie-dyed. You would think that if it was dry, it would absorb better, but actually wetting it down works a lot easier. So we've got our nozzle here, and we're going to start wetting the whole thing down, making it nice and wet. Now we don't want it super soaked, we just want it really damp. We're also going to spray the bag that it goes in. Get that nice and wet. All right, and there we go. Now we have the tent. It's nice and wet. We're going to let that drip dry just a little bit because we want to make sure that it's ready to go in the pot, and we don't want to dilute it very much. We want to make sure that it stays as full strength as we can. We're going to go ahead and let this kind of drip dry, and we'll wring it out a little bit, and we'll do this bag as a test first, and we'll see how it comes out once we dip it in. All right, here we've got our bag and I got the ladle, and we're just going to go ahead and put it in here and push it in and let that steep for just a little bit while that stays nice and hot. Now, being as hot as this is, it shouldn't take too terribly long. We just want to make sure that we get it down in there real good. Now, if you want to, you could go ahead and remove all of the hulls, and we will do that at the end. We'll keep this, we'll pour this into some gallon jugs so that we can have this for later to use. All right, so there we go. you can see that that has taken that stain really nicely, and it's darkened it up quite a bit. And of course, the longer you leave it in there and the more you treat it, the darker it will be. So that's a pretty good job. I like that. And we're going to set that aside and let that drain. Next, we're going to put in the cord that we use to hold it up. This is cotton cord, so we're going to go ahead and dye it as well. Put it in there. I'm going to swish it around a bit. All right, and there you can see, again, nice and dark, and we'll let that drip dry, and that will take on that stain real nice. Now, it'll probably dry a little lighter brown than that because that's really dark, but that's okay. We want it to dry, and we want it to look nicely colored. Now, we have the George tent, so put this in here. Now, this is another reason why you don't want this to be super hot. It's just steeping, again, like you would steep a tea. So it's warm to my hands, it's steaming a little bit because it's cool outside, but we don't want it super hot, so I can use my hands to press down on the fabric and pull it around a little bit. Another thing I want you to notice is that not all of it has gotten colored yet. And so you can see some splotchy areas like this. And so we need to open that up and then take this and push this down inside and make sure that it gets nice and coated too. So any areas where it's folded over, you can see like that, that is super white. So you have to unfold it and make sure it gets dipped in there. And we'll just keep dipping and working round and round like that until we get it all coated, and we'll pull it out and set it up and let it dry in the sun. Before we go too much farther, I'd like to remind you to sign up at waypointsurvival.com for our brand new Waypoint Survival and Prepping 101 newsletter. It's absolutely free, and just sign up, put down your information there, and we'll do our best to get something to you every week, if not even more often than that. There's some great articles already been published. There's a lot there for you to read and catch up on, so make sure you can do that right away, and we'd really appreciate it. Thanks. All right, well, it's been a couple of days since we soaked the tent in the walnut stain, and it's a really nice chocolate color, and it's going to blend in really nice to the woods. Of course, that will lighten up some. It was a lot darker than that when we first did it. It almost looked black, but it's thoroughly dry now, and it's been a couple of days, as I said, so we're getting ready to coat this. Now back in the day, there was all kinds of things that they used. Sometimes they were lead-based products, sometimes it would be beeswax mixed with turpentine, various things like that, but they were very flammable. Now, they did work, and a lot of people used them. As a matter of fact, my grandpa, who used to be an evangelist and travel around holding tent revival meetings back in the 1930s, actually had one of the famous evangelists, Billy Sunday's tents. And he would mix up his own mixture. It was a large tent. I think it was like 60 by 120. And there's a whole story that goes behind that. That tent got completely blown away by a tornado, or a cyclone as they called it back then. And they had built a wooden platform, and it was a miracle that happened with that, in that there was a piano that was borrowed from a widow lady, and of course it would be very valuable. Tornadoes, a lot of wind, a lot of rain, a lot of storm activity. And so the whole tent was just shredded and blown away. But a very large piece of that tent blew over top of that piano and the platform. And after the storm was over and they're cleaning up all the debris around the town, they found that that piano had been completely protected, and it wasn't even damp. So again, one of those miraculous things that happens, and of course, we thank God for those amazing kind of miracles. But here we are, we're getting ready to coat this tent, and they did have commercial things back in the day. Many of them are not available, but what we do have is this Canvac product, and I've used this before on my other tent that I used on my 1930s kitchen, if you remember that video. But this is a petroleum distillate, and it does have, I think, some wax and things like that. I'm not sure of the complete formula, but it's got some old-fashioned pictures here, and for tents and awnings and farm tarps and just all kinds of stuff. So this is a fantastic product. It's expensive. 1 gallon will do about 100 square feet, and you may want to coat it a couple of times. So the problem with a lot of the other formulas, like the old-time formulas that use, for instance, beeswax and turpentine. Beeswax and turpentine together is a very flammable mixture. And so you had to be super careful about getting it too close to your fire or sparks or anything like that coming on it. So this is a much safer alternative. And as I said, they did have commercial products that you could buy back in the 1920s. Again, just like today, if a person could make a product and sell it and make some money, they would do that. So we're going to use this on our tent. To put the canvac on the tent, we're just using an old tin pan bowl here made by Kramer. This gentleman started making products back in the 1870s on through the early 1900s, and then just a simple cheap brush. We're going to brush it on. You want to brush it on heavy. I did buy 2 gallons of this, plenty to do this tent. You do not want to skimp on this. It has to coat the pores and completely soak the canvas, and then you need to let it dry for a couple of days thoroughly before you take it out and use it. One other thing to note is that whenever you're handling products like this, you should always use latex or rubber gloves. Back then they didn't know as much as we know today about how the skin absorbs all these kind of products, and so it's just best to be safe, even though this isn't actually period correct. I'm going to wear these because I don't want to get this on my skin, and if you do get it on your skin, of course read the instructions for any product that you use. Always pay attention to all the stuff, and make sure that you follow everything precisely. And one of the things it does say is that if you get it on your skin, wash the exposed area with soap and water. So again, it's not necessarily deadly, but if you can keep it off your skin to begin with, you're a lot better off. So you can see a little bit of what this looks like, and it's just a kind of a clear liquid. It's fairly runny, and we're going to start at the top, and we're going to coat it very, very thoroughly. Of course, the top is where we're going to get the most rain, and you just want to make sure this is absolutely soaked in. You don't want to leave any dry spots. Now, when you're doing this, you always want to make sure you go from the top of the tent to the bottom. That way, if anything does run, because we're putting it on really thick, it'll just run down and will help the tent be just that much more waterproof as you're working it. All right, and there we go. We have it thoroughly coated. Now, since this is the first time that we coated it, it took more than 1.5 gallons, and I went ahead and coated the bag that it fits in as well, because that's going to be on the outside of the pack, and if it rains, it's just going to help protect the tent that much more. So again, first time you coat it, I know it's a small tent, but you may want to get 2 of those gallons if you're going to use canvac. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little episode of how to stain and waterproof our 1920s Horace Kephart George Tent. Now remember, I'm going to be taking this and going into the mountains of North Carolina and doing an overnight camping video in one of Horace Kephart's favorite camping spots. And remember, we're going to be doing a lot of other videos as well, including his pack and loadout that we're going to use for that trip. This is James Bender for WayPoint Survival. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, make sure and check out the links in the description box below, just under the More button. While you're down there, you'll find the link for our WayPoint Survival digital class. This is where you can sign up to take bushcraft and survival classes in the safety and convenience of your own backyard, training in the top 20 skills that we consider to be the most important for our Survival and Bushcraft Phase 1 class. You'll also find a place, many places actually, where you can sign up for our WayPoint Survival and Prepping 101 newsletter. Make sure you sign up for that. It's free, and there's a whole lot of great information that's being given out on a weekly basis, so make sure and sign up for that. You'll also find the link for waypointsurvival.com, which is where you can sign up to take in-person survival and bushcraft classes here at our beautiful training facility in Southern Ohio. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel. We'd really appreciate it. And when you do subscribe, make sure and press that bell button so that you can stay notified of all of our upcoming videos, and we'll talk to you next time.